Susan Linton Smith. Susan, we're going to talk about one of your favorite books. I think you're going to end up saying all 12 are, but that's not fair. Is Spaceship. Let's go into Spaceship because I love it because with this evolution of AI, the next thing is us going to space because science fiction is science fact.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yes, I thank you for telling me off camera that this is one of your favorites as well. Look, I wrote this series really with the 8 to 10-year-old in mind, and what better thing to do than think about going out into space? I mean, I know so many kids wanted to be astronauts, and we're just fascinated with space and all the, you know, trillions of galaxies out there and the billions of stars in the universe. So I knew from the very beginning when I started to write this series that I wanted to write a book where the two characters actually go onto a spaceship and they meet a space alien or a star being, whatever you want to call them. So I could not wait to write this book. And I knew it had to be later in the series, but very excited about this because it really enabled me to use my imagination and write something that was just so fun.
Exactly. So fun. And I think when you think about spaceships, how many kids want to travel to space? Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, as an adult, I want to do it. Of course, we're all just older kids. But yeah, I think it's fascinating to think about it. And it ties back to the 10-year-old character, Spencer, who is ADHD, as you know, and there's a lot of themes about that. But his younger brother is always teasing him, oh, your head is in space. But he is fascinated with space. So throughout the entire series, he's always like looking up at the moons, the stars, and he's really fascinated with all of that. So this is really his opportunity now to have a dream come true and to be able to go on this fun yet dangerous adventure. And they end up on a spaceship. So, and it's not just a spaceship, but they get to meet a space being or and see several. So this was fun for me because when we think about could there be, star beings out there and what would they be like? You always think about, kind of the grays and you hear about, the abductions and it's scary, or you see the reptilians but this in this case, I do believe that with the 2 trillion galaxies out there and ours being, the Milky Way being a small one, very likely that there is other life out there. And so this is their opportunity to meet somebody out, and be able to and have a conversation and really be able to imagine for the reader.
Imagination. And I think that you also must have a love of video games, even in Spaceship, right? There's
Right.
something about you, or is it Spencer and Justin who
Oh, it's
love
Spencer and
anything
Justin.
and the gaming side of things?
Oh no,
Because
they
that,
love
yeah,
they love the gaming side. Of course, most kids didn't. Well, actually, adults do as well. But what was fun for me on this book, and this is why it's one of my favorites, is I had to really do a little bit of research on this because I'm like, when I knew I wanted a spaceship, and I trying to even imagine what a spaceship would look like inside, and then thinking about what kind of a being would they interact with. So I started doing a lot of exploration online and was very fascinated by what I was reading and finding, and so took an inspiration. And as you know, in Spaceship, they end up meeting with what I will call the Octurian, which is a blue being, and you can see some images on the website, which I thought was kind of fascinating. But Arcturus is the third brightest star in our sky. So if you look out at night, and I have that app where you can see which stars, Arcturus is always really, really bright up there. And so I had this being be an Arcturian, and I took kind of the inspiration from, what you hear about, like, have you ever heard about Skinny Bob? Have you heard that term?
no.
Oh my goodness. So you know what? Saw a couple of videos about this Skinny Bob. It looks like what you would imagine. a gray being, with the big eyes and the big head, the small nose, the small mouth. So I kind of took the inspiration for what this creature could look like. But I know that for me, when I think about grays, you always associate them with the abduction. But this being was that I made, the Octurian, was just really, really enlightened, very intelligent, very, very kind. Um, their technology far in advance, and you could just feel the appreciation and love that this being had for these two boys who end up on their spaceship, and how in one chapter the alien is watching the boys interact and just really intrigued and fascinated with their emotions, because this creature didn't have many emotions that were outward, right? Small mouth, not, and just watching the boys play and laugh and tease each other, and just, so you could just see the kindness that was coming through on this being.
Exactly. And that's the key is the show that kindness. And I guess when you show spaceship, the technology is much more complex in this book, right? Than when they go back from under the couch, right? The technology is far, far more advanced, correct?
And yeah, the technology's advanced, and what you got from this, because I do think, it's very possible that there is life out there. I don't know. I've never had the interaction, but looking, doing a little research for this, it's like, wow, there's a lot out there. I mean, we've all heard about, Roswell and what was it, like Area 51 or something like that. So, we've all heard, and I think there's a lot of people out there who have had experiences. I don't know, but I wanted it to not be as scary. Some of those movies out there, they're scary. They want to take over the earth. And in this case, this was very wise being who really did educate them and show them, just a different perspective of what star beings could be. And my favorite part of the book is at the end when the boys are looking to go back, right? They got to always on these adventures, they got to go back home. There's a time limit, etc., and they know it. And Spencer looks at the being and he's kind of fascinated that this creature just knows so much, and just says, what's the meaning of life? And the creature very quickly says, love. He talks about unity and love. And I think it's a really good message given everything that's going on right now and the divisiveness. And it's just was nice to see that message of. And the creature describes it as a tapestry. A tapestry is made up
Mm.
of all this different yarn, and all the yarn is different shapes or thickness and colors. And he's like, we're all just like one big tapestry. We're individual pieces of the yarn, but we're all connected. We're all part of this
Right.
tapestry. And so I wanted to have that message of, love and unity when we have so much fighting and divisiveness out there, because really we're all more similar than we're not. And we tend to focus on the differences than the similarities. So this was kind of the message in this book about, even this creature who's so, so different is about saying we're not that dissimilar. We're all connected.
Being all connected, so key because we're all connected. And I wish that we can have a country or a world that can get along with each other
Well,
because we can't.
both, right?
Yeah. And I
A
guess
country and a world.
maybe we can go to space instead, right?
I think maybe go to space instead, but I do think that we all want peace and we all want unity, and I think we'll get there, but sometimes you got to go through some rough times to get there. But that's kind of the message in
But
this.
history shows that every time. It's wish people studied history, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so thank you for asking me about this. So Spaceship, like I said, is the 11th book in the series. There's 12 books in all. You can find them on underthecouchbooks.com. They're available on Amazon and soon on Ingram Sparks.
Everyone needs to check those out for sure. And again, the feedback, and you just type in Under the Couch. You're going to find it. You don't even have to go to underthecouchbooks.com. Just type in Under the Couch, and on page 1, Under the Couch Books, the website's there. So
Awesome.
appreciate it. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right. That was a special simulcast